On the internet, you can be anything you choose to be. Sadly, many people choose to be stupid. Welcome to Ask Randy, episode 5, where I answer your questions about life, off-roading, GMRS radios, even anthropomorphism. You can submit your question to me, Randy, by clicking that link right there. As usual, I'm not going to waste your valuable time with a fancy intro with graphics and music. I'm going to get right into it. And the first question comes from Ted, who asks, "Why do you keep deleting my comments?" Ted, this is actually a very common question, and the short answer is, your comments got deleted probably, not necessarily, but probably because you're stupid. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know that I moderate my comments very, very heavily. I do not allow my channel to be a soapbox for stupidity like so many other YouTubers do. Of course, the best, most stupid, most outrageous, stupid comments always get pinned to the top for everybody to laugh at. But some reasons why your comment may get deleted are: the comment was stupid or pointless. It expressed your opinion about something, and nobody cares what you think. The information you provided was just plain wrong or inaccurate. Maybe you tried to tell me how I should make my videos. If I want help from you on how to make my videos, I will ask for it. If your comment was just an attempt to push an agenda, saying that you hate Trump or you hate Obama or something else that nobody cares about, deleted. A very common reason for comments being deleted is because the person answered a question, usually 10 paragraphs long, that nobody asked. And although there's other reasons why your comment may have been deleted, it generally falls into the final category of, I didn't like it, so I deleted it. Mike asks, "I really enjoy all of your videos, but when are you going to incorporate more Jeep off-road videos?" For those of you that do not know, I used to make quite a few Jeep and off-roading videos. You can watch one of those videos right there. I guarantee you it is not the type of video that you would expect to find on YouTube. Some people have gone so far as to say my off-roading videos are the best off-roading videos on YouTube. But the simple answer is, I will make more off-roading videos as soon as people start watching my old off-roading videos. Vern asks, "If I have a GMRS license, do I need to give my call sign when using an FRS walkie-talkie? They have the same frequencies. I'm confused by that." Vern, this can be very confusing because a GMRS radio transmits on the exact same frequencies as an FRS radio, but you only need to use your GMRS call sign. You only need to have a GMRS license if you're going to be transmitting on a GMRS radio. So if you have an FRS radio, that's one of the cheap little bubble wrap type radios that has the antenna that won't come off and transmits at half a watt or something like that. No license is required to use those radios, even though they transmit on all the same frequencies as a GMRS radio. The difference is the power output and the way that the radios are designed. The FCC says for an FRS radio, a bubble wrap radio, you do not need a license, you do not need to announce your call sign, even if you have a GMRS call sign. It's just not necessary. Jason asks, "Is there a GMRS equivalent to CB channel 19? No, there is not. If there was, you would have heard about it. Steve asks, "Does the programming cable come with a CD program?" Some do, some don't. Read the description of what it is you're buying before you pay for it, and then you'll know. John Ash asks, "What are your thoughts on GMRS clubs and associations?" Oh, I have thoughts on GMRS clubs and associations. Most of them are loaded with sad hams disguised as normal people or normal GMRS users. And as with many clubs and organizations, they're full of power struggles and politics and petty drama. So I tend to stay away from them. But a local GMRS group can be a good way to learn stuff if you're new to using GMRS radios. So if you can find the right one that's not full of a bunch of idiots and assholes, it can be a great thing. Most of the time, it's not. June Anderson asks, "What is a good way to find and get off-road maps and other information?" June, The internet would be a good place to start. Many off-roading forums have local sections where they post information about local trails. If you have national forests maintained by the Forestry Service, they usually have ranger stations. They always have maps of the area. If you know the name of the area or the trails that you want to go on, try searching it in YouTube. You're bound to find something interesting. I get most of my trail information now from Gaia GPS, Gaia Maps. It's an app, it's a website. It's a wonderful thing. I'll leave a link below. Wayne asks, why can't I download from or upload to radio? Based on all of the detailed information and specifics that you included with your question, I can only conclude that you're doing it wrong. Tony asks, Randy, can you tell me how to get a commercial license? No. Donald wants to know, what happens if you don't use a call sign on GMRS? And he's going for a twofer. Can you encrypt GMRS? Donald, based on the FCC's track record, if you don't use a call sign on GMRS, nothing will happen. For your second question, can I encrypt GMRS? Yeah, I can with one of my radios, but the FCC says thou shalt not encrypt GMRS. John Roberts also asks 2 questions. He's going for the twofer. Why did you select Notarubicon as your channel and website name? Question 2. We've all heard of Nagoya antennas. Antenna making shouldn't be rocket science. Are any of the knockoffs as good or almost as good as the Nagoya NA77G? And blah, 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 blah. So for question number 1, why did I select Notarubicon as my channel name? As already mentioned, I used to make off-roading videos. And to make those off-roading videos, I used to drive a Jeep to get me to where to make those off-roading videos. I still drive a Jeep pretty much every weekend, off-road. And the name of that Jeep is the Notarubicon. That's where I got the name. Now you may ask, what does that mean? Because that's another common question. What does Notarubicon mean? Well, in the Jeep world, the top and highest end Jeep trim, the level, the models that they make is called a Rubicon, the Jeep Rubicon. And my Jeep is not a Rubicon. It's better. As to your second question about antennas and different brands, in my experience with 100 antennas or more, there is no difference between brands of antennas. If you're looking at the same specs of antenna, the Nagoya 771G doesn't perform any better than the blah, 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 whatever Chinese knockoff. If that Chinese knockoff actually works when you take it out of the box. And what I mean by that is, I have had several antennas from the cheap Chinese companies, other lesser brand named companies, that when I put them on my radios, they were just dead shorted. And of course, you don't know that it's dead shorted or broken or just full of empty plastic until you try to use it and it doesn't work, or if you put it on a meter. So with the brand name antennas, you're going to get better quality control. Hopefully it's not a knockoff, and you're probably going to have a better experience if you need to return it for whatever reason. In my opinion, it's always better to spend the extra $4 and just get the reputable one from the reputable dealer and never buy anything from eBay. Joe R says, I bought a KG935G and would like to install a repeater on my tower since there is none nearby. What base antenna would you recommend and what coax to use? Any UHF or GMRS antenna will work. If you get a UHF antenna, you have to follow the directions and trim it, cut it precisely to the right length. Usually if it says GMRS on the box, you just put it up and start using it, but you should still measure the SWR to make sure it is trimmed correctly and make adjustments as necessary. For my repeater, I use the Tram 1486. That is a UHF antenna. I did have to trim it. It's multiple sections, so I had to trim each section. It's pretty easy. Affiliate link below. For the coax, I use LMR 400 coax. It is important to get good coax, low loss coax, because in the UHF frequencies, the GMRS frequencies, the longer the wire, the more of the little RF electricities leak out and the more power you lose from the time it gets out of the radio to the time it gets up to the antenna. So a 5-watt radio that outputs 5 watts from the antenna hole, by the time it gets through that cable up to the antenna, it may only be 1 or 2 watts, if that. So a low loss cable is preferred. I use LMR 400. Now, people on the interwebs will say LMR 400 is cheap, it's junk, is it? It is not the best. If you want the best, spend the money and get the kind that costs 5 times more. LMR 400 is very good. It does the job just fine. I'm running about 110 feet or so. It works just great. But if you want to spend more, feel free. Steve Burt says, I have a Wuxen Ocean KG905G and a set of Midland T295 EP4 camo, because the chicks dig them. I'll bet they do. Is it okay to just leave the radios plugged into their charging cradles? Or should I unplug the power once at full charge? Ralph, thank you for the question. I love this kind of question because no matter what I say, all of these self-appointed YouTube battery PhDs will descend upon the video and they will all leave comments that I'm wrong. Then all the other self-appointed battery PhDs will come out and leave comments that those first comments were wrong from the first battery PhDs. Then they'll all get in an argument trying to prove who's smarter, and then they all end up looking like idiots. So this is what I do. I never leave a battery or a radio in the charger after it's charged up for fear of that it will overheat or fire, but that's really only due to my crippling OCD. For normal people, I usually recommend that you read the manual. If the manual says do not leave it in the charger when it's fully charged, then do not leave it in the charger when it's fully charged. If it does not specifically say to not leave it in the charger after it's charged, then do what your heart tells you to do. Jimmy T. Adams asks, which would you recommend? Wuxen KG935G, not a super heterodyne radio, or a Wuxen KG905G, a super heterodyne radio? I have several of both of those radios, and as I have stated many times in several videos, the KG935G is my favorite radio. It's not a super homodyne radio, but compared side by side to my KG905G and my other super homodyne radios, I can't tell a difference. I prefer the KG935G. Affiliate link below. If you have questions about any of these questions, leave a question below.